God bless America. Hello, everybody. I am the Talk Radio Protege. Welcome back to the Protege program. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I certainly know that I did. And this week, we have one of the big Supreme Court cases of the session. You may recall I did a video a while back where I talked about several of the big Supreme Court cases that were headed to the court. And now that Judge Neil Gorsuch is presiding, there's a lot of fear on the left that these cases are going to be lost. And one of those cases is heading to the court tomorrow. That is the case about the gay wedding cake controversy. And I thought I would do a little bit of clarifying for those of you who may not be intimately familiar with the event, and go through some of the supporting evidence, I'll call it, for either side of this argument. So first of all, the event in question that's being debated in front of the Supreme Court tomorrow happened in July of 2012, and that event is detailed in this Fox News column, although in a few more words that I'm going to sum up for you right now. Charlie Craig, David Mullins, and the mother of Charlie Craig entered into the bakery of Jack Phillips, this bakery also known as Masterpiece Cake Shop in Colorado. And in the conversation after what is called by Jack Phillips in this column, I believe, a 20 seconds of conversation. Yes. So it would appear that Phillips was able to gather very quickly that this was a homosexual couple who was in to ask about a wedding cake for their event. And Phillips quickly said, "I don't make cakes for same-sex weddings." Now, Phillips could have went through the rigmarole of hearing out these two, wasting a lot of their time, and eventually saying, "Well, I don't make cakes for gay weddings, so you're going to have to go somewhere else." But he was upfront about his policy and saved the couple a little bit of time. That's kind of a snarky way of looking at the issue. But more importantly, he says that he doesn't make cakes for the weddings. I guarantee you, if these two had been here for anything else, for a birthday party, for an anniversary celebration, anything else, well, I suppose maybe not an anniversary celebration, but almost anything else, let's say, Phillips would have baked them a cake. He would have put whatever they wanted on it, just about anything. But it's the event of a same-sex wedding and the moral and religious questions that raises that Jack Phillips objects to and therefore refused to bake the cake. Now, I wanted to offer you some other context that is surrounding this case that may persuade you to one side of the argument or another. First of all, this from the ACLU website. The ACLU posits that Jack Phillips and his bakery violated the Colorado's Anti-Discrimination Act. And so I went looking for what it says in the Colorado Anti-Discrimination Act. And the best thing that I can find is from this website called findlaw.com, where it says that the protections under Colorado civil rights law extend to employment, housing, and public accommodations, and also to sexual orientation, including the full spectrum of LGBTQAAIP plus people. public accommodations, according to One Colorado, a LGBTQ AAIP plus rights organization from Colorado, states that a public accommodation is defined, I assume, by Colorado public law as an entity that offers sales or services of any kind to the public. Based on just those few articles, Masterpiece Cake Shop and Jack Phillips did violate this Colorado statute. And as long as the argument is whether or not he violated this statute, Masterpiece Cake Shop is going to lose. But I do want to call your attention to a few statements from the Fox News column made by Jack Phillips. The first is this one. I serve everybody that comes in, gay, straight, Catholic, Muslim, atheists. I welcome everybody into my shop. I just don't create cakes for every event that's presented to me. Based on that statement and a subsequent one that was made to Fox News recently, I might have to Control F. Okay, there it is. He has turned away cake requests for a variety of reasons. Baked goods with profanity or obscene images, racial stereotypes, even those that he says would disparage homosexuals. I assume that means homosexual slurs. I assume that the requests for these cakes have come in after he turned down the cake for this particular wedding. People testing him to see what kind of art he would put on to his cakes. And something tells me that if Phillips had turned down a request by for a Klan rally, that no one would have batted an eye, that this would be a non-issue, and we would have never heard about Jack Phillips and his little Colorado bakery. Now, the issue that is before the Supreme Court in this case, assuming that the court intends to determine if Jack Phillips's actions lie within the bounds of constitutionality, or if they are to determine if the Colorado law is within the bounds of constitutionality, then there's a few different cases that we could argue. If the argument is over whether or not Jack Phillips violated Colorado law, Jack Phillips definitely violated Colorado law. So he will be punished accordingly if that turns out to be the case. But if we're going to argue about something higher than that, there's a few different angles we can take from this. The first and foremost of which is if individuals have the right to abstain from commerce for any reason. If they do not, then you've created certain classes of people and certain circumstances under which it is all right to steal from someone. And if you can't fathom how commerce can be the same as theft, let me explain it to you this way. Or let me ask you the following questions, rather. Is it theft if you give me $20 and I give you nothing? Especially if you don't want to give me $20. If you don't want to give me $20 and through the use of force, I compel you to give me $20 in exchange for nothing, or in the extreme scenario, let us say, in exchange for your life, have I not stolen from you? And I could call it commerce. I could say, well, it was just commerce. He just exchanged his life for $20. Nonetheless, that is theft. By the same token, a person can force his way into a store, take, say, a wedding cake, and leave the money on the counter, to much to the protestations of the store owner. Is this not also theft? Is it not theft if I have something that I do not want to relinquish and someone forces me to relinquish that thing in return for something else, in return for my life in the extreme scenario, in return for cash or some other object in the scenario of compulsory commerce. In the past, when there were vast majorities of business owners who could effectively freeze out minority individuals from the marketplace, there would be a much better case for anti-discrimination laws like these. But it is the current year. There are many more people that would serve a cake to this couple's wedding than there are who would not. I would actually not be surprised if down the block from the cake shop of Mr. Phillips, there were not 3 bakeries that would serve this couple for their wedding. Would not surprise me at all. The other question that we could debate is if the right to free exercise of religion should trump the... And I have a hard time phrasing this correctly. The right, I guess you would say the right to participate in commerce. Should the right to participate in commerce trump the right to practice a religion? Now, I've always thought to myself that the right to life, liberty, and property ought not be trumped by any of the rights in the Bill of Rights. The rights that are asserted and maintained by the Declaration of Independence ought to trump the rights laid out in the Bill of Rights, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I say this because, as a prime example, there are religions that, by their tenets, would execute certain individuals, depriving them of the right to life. There are religions that would imprison certain individuals, depriving them of the right to liberty. Some of these religions are not the religion that I prescribe to. Therefore, out of a desire for the right to liberty, out of a desire for the right to practice my religion to the fullest extent, although mostly out of the desire for the right to liberty, I would say that the right to liberty trumps the right of those individuals to exercise their religion to the fullest extent of its tenets. To name an example, it is a tenet of Islam to stone adulterers, to put to death homosexuals, to put to death a woman that has been raped because she does not have sufficient evidence to prove that she was not raped. It violates the right of those individuals' life and liberty to exercise those tenets of religion. And the right to life is more valuable, in my opinion, than the right to exercise religion freely. However, the right to commerce, where is the right to participate in commerce established in American founding documents? It is not established in the Declaration of Independence, although the right to pursuit of happiness can be applied to virtually anything. The right to commerce is not established in the Declaration of Independence explicitly. The right to commerce, as far as I know, is not established explicitly in the Constitution. It is certainly not established above and beyond the right to religious liberty, I would have to conclude then that the right to religious liberty ought to trump the right of an individual to engage in commerce, especially when considered that compelling someone to engage in commerce, or rather refusing the right to abstain from commerce, is tantamount to theft in all situations. You could use Obamacare as an example. Obamacare is theft by virtue of I'm compelling you to engage in commerce, compelling you to give me your money, and I'm going to compel you to accept health insurance. Agree, disagree? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. I think that's going to do it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications so that you don't miss a single video, because I'm uploading every single weekday thus far without fail. Again, thank you for watching. Until next time, have a great evening, good night, and God bless.